If you push the SOS button on your Garmin, are they going to charge you for that? I asked my friend Cris, who is probably the smartest person on YouTube when it comes to anything tech related for the backcountry, in this interview here, and he answers that question and a ton more. Okay, so there's not just Garmin though. There's Zoleo, there's Bivy, there's some other ones that you mentioned. So I've used Garmin, I've used one called Somewhere, and I've used one called Bivy. What's the difference between all these, and why should we be buying one versus the other?
All the ones that you mentioned, I believe, use Iridium, and Iridium's a satellite network. They all essentially rent time off of Iridium to send these messages back and forth.
The biggest difference between these then is, between the different companies, is its features?
Feature set, yep. The feature set, the way the plans are set up, like some of them you pay per message, but some of them have certain things included, like tracking or weather. So there's a newer spot called this, I think it's Spot Gen 4, that uses Globalstar. And then Globalstar is also the company that the new Apple iPhone 14s, they use Globalstar too.
Oh, really? When you go out and you've got all these sitting on your desk, which one are you grabbing?
If I'm just doing like a light hike and it's not too hardcore, I'll just bring the Mini 2. If I'm going on something a little bit more hardcore and I want some navigation backup, I bring a GPS Map 66i. There's a new one that just came out a couple of days ago called the 67i.
What is that? Is that a Garmin?
It's one of the 15 million flavors of Garmin.
But as far as the smaller GPS devices, what is it about this that you like more than, say, the Zoleo, or more than, say, the Bivy or the Have you heard of Somewhere at all by chance?
Yeah, I've heard of this Somewhere. I like the Garmin, the Mini, just because it has that LCD screen. I found that times when I'm like a little panicked or running late or lost, just having the simplicity of those buttons and being able to scroll through and know what to get to quickly has a value.
What other features on here are you using besides texting?
Yeah, so I mainly use the texting. I mean, to be able to do non-emergency texts is what I think sets something like an InReach apart from like the iPhone 14, which just has a basic check-in and a SOS.
So let's talk Apple, because that seems to be like the new. And then you mentioned something about another bullet or something. Is that what you said? Something else, bullet? Yeah. Tell me different. Apple. Are they going to take over? Because right now I can't text. I can SOS, so it stays in my pocket. Like, it's a backup to this.
Yeah, it's a great backup to have, and if you're upgrading, like, why not get a backup? Because it's just going to help. But it's a really exciting time for all of the satellite tech and outdoor tech. But yeah, so a lot of things are happening. So there's a Motorola device coming out. There's a few of them. What's exciting about these units, there's, I think, 3, and one of them is like a little Wi-Fi or little satellite hotspot. So it's a little puck that you carry. These things are going to change the game. Like, Garmin's going to have to shift or adapt pricing, I think. There's going to be a little competition, which is a good thing for folks like us. And then there's going to be 2 phones. I think one's going to be like one of those Cat Tough phones, and the other one's going to be a Motorola phone that have that satellite technology embedded into the phone.
Okay, so I bought an Apple Watch Ultra. One, because I think it's cool looking, but 2, because people kind of expect me to have the newest, latest stuff, and I wanted to test it out. And my problem with this watch is all it does is track my out, and then it tells me how to get back. So like, if I want to get from point A to point B, it's not going to give me directions how to get there, which is what I was hoping it would do. And I guess I didn't do enough research on it. But so this isn't, I mean, it's cool. I like it. It's tough. It's got a longer battery life, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I thought that same thing. I don't know if you watched the announcement when they announced this, but they had all these ultra athletes like Scott Jurek and stuff, and I'm thinking this is going to be a contender with Garmin. I was disappointed that there's no bundled navigation on there.
I have zero sense of direction. I just anticipate that I'm always lost, right? And so whenever I come to a junction or a fork, or I feel like I'm like, where's the trail? I'm relying on my GPS to tell me it's over there. And I just don't see that as a asset on this watch at all. So if I'm out in the backcountry, we did not hit SOS when I was in the Grand Canyon because we just happened to have a cell signal. I sort of wish I would have hit SOS because I have Garmin's insurance, and I think they would have flown me out had I hit the SOS.
Yeah.
But I was too out of it, and they did it for me, and whatever. I made it out. But when do you want to hit SOS? Like, what's your thing on that?
You can hit that anytime. You don't get charged to talk to SOS on, I think all of them, especially Garmin, I know it for a fact. You never pay for a rescue, you only pay for negligence. If you go out and you are, in genuine need of a rescue, they will rescue you, it will be free of charge. And in your case, when I was watching your video, I was thinking, if you hit that button on the inReach, maybe lower at Cottonwood, you probably would have got a helicopter that took you to the South Rim, and then you probably would have been put in an ambulance to Flagstaff, and you would have paid for the ambulance ride, but not the helicopter out of the Grand Canyon.
Well, this is a great thing to know. I think people, and I mean, this should be common knowledge out there, because if I had no cell phone signal, I would still be considering, holy crud, I'm going to have to spend $50,000 to hit this button right now. What if I hike out, or what if I get rescued and all I had was a tummy ache? That's a $50,000 tummy ache. So those are good things to know, I think, for people. The
consensus is better to be safe than sorry, right? If you waited, like with your condition, if you hesitated, that would have not only been bad for you, but it could have also meant a different type of rescue where they had to bring a helicopter. Time is definitely an asset in an emergency situation, whether it be a medical condition or daylight or whatever it might be. So again, those communicators are two-way communicators. You can always hit the button. You can always talk. You can always ask for advice.
You should never feel like you can't hit a button because you're worried about money. Right, and yeah. I totally felt that way. I did. There was a moment where I was like, oh no, I had to talk them out of flying me, because they were like, look, we can get you out right now by helicopter, and I was just like, what's plan B if that's going to cost me 40, 50 grand?
So basically a backcountry rescue, and just to be clear, that's the rescue to get you from the backcountry to a point in the front country. So if you were to be picked up, say, like in Cottonwood Campground, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the Grand Canyon, that's a campground down inside the canyon. If you were to get picked up there, you would likely be brought to an ambulance at the South Rim. But if you were like, let's say you have 10 minutes to live and there's, really bad stuff, that helicopter would probably just bring you all the way to Flagstaff. Yeah. But if you got an air ambulance out of the North Rim where you were, that's not necessarily a backcountry rescue. That's a front country rescue with an air ambulance. But usually your insurance will cover the cost of like an ambulance. You probably have a decent deductible, but if you have chest pains 30 miles down a snowed-in road, I think maybe time to do it.
Okay, so where can people find you?
Hikingguy.com is the easiest one, and also just my YouTube handle is Hiking Guy.
I think you should change it to the Hiking Technical Genius Guy.
The hiking nerd or something.
Well, Cris, thanks, man. Appreciate you coming on. You're a lot smarter than I am on this stuff, so that was a huge help. And maybe I'll start using this for a little bit more than just texting my mom and my wife and my kids and stuff when I'm out there. So
now you have somebody to talk to at the other end of SOS.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Mr. Ranger, hope you're having a good day. Yeah, cool. All right, man. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. Yeah, thanks.
See ya.